the different ways that we game the system. We teach to the test, we test to the test, we develop tests that are like the tests that the kids are going to actually take. It's insanity. We also marginalize curriculum. Students are both. Standardizing children, as I said earlier, is subtractive. I don't think I used the word, but suggested as much with the assimilationist ethnic, cultural, racial eradication agenda. It's dehumanizing, it's dispiriting. It's dispiriting to our children. What do? Well, we build a constituency for public education. I like to think, I'm very hopeful, I'm optimistic, that this can be done and that we can do this, but we must do this. And how do we do this? Well, we have a history, right? And I gave this talk at University of Texas Brownsville a couple of days ago, and so I was telling the audience that is Latinos in Texas, and I'll say this in California, public education is increasingly represented by this demographic, right? It's a demographic that actually has a history, and it has a history in organizing and social justice movements. And it involves strategies that are formal and that are informal, grassroots efforts. NELRAP, the teacher pipeline, is grassroots, and it's also grass tops, so it's national and it's at the ground level as well. So we must use every tool at our disposal. Coalition building. Just read Learning Power. I don't know if you've read it, by Jeannie Oakes and John Rogers. There's a really fascinating narrative about political mobilizing right here in Los Angeles that is very, very encouraging. Another tenet of social justice activism is building new institutions and organizations. LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, the one that I was the director of at the state level for the Education Committee, came into existence in 1929 after World War I. And there's a long history ever since of, this is just one small example, but ever since of institution building. These are the founders of the National Women's Political Caucus, and I just love this picture, and I just want to bask in these women's light. These are the women who helped found the National Women's Political Caucus in 1972. And so the age-old ways of moving in the world are the same ones, okay? It doesn't really change. It's hard work, it's upfront, it's personal, it's smart. And it involves using every tool at our disposal as communities to work in coalitions, to have allies, to understand how to navigate complex spaces in the legislature and city government, at the school board. I really want to do a shout out for this book by Mark Warren and Karen Mapp, A Match on Dry Grass, Community Organizing as a Catalyst for School Reform. It's a book that involves a lot of data collecting at sites throughout the country where communities are mobilizing for education reform. And what you see is that there are these shared histories and identities, these organizing traditions. So if you look, for example, at the Grow Your Own Teacher Preparation program at Northeastern Illinois, it's the outcome of legislation, but it's connected to the formation of the community action councils, and then the community action councils are connected to grassroots political organizing. And the same thing could be said of every site. You can start really drawing a line to your political ancestors, to the people who are in your political genealogy that really help explain the part that's above ground. If I redid this image, I would probably put most of the tree underground, in fact, because if you really think deeply about what it means to have an activist community, there's a long histories of struggle. So it's not only that you have the National Women's Political Caucus, but before that you have Raza Unida Party, you have the student protest movements, and before that LULAC. Before that, you have the mutual aid societies. Emilio Zamora writes about the mutual aid societies in his book on looking at poor people's organizing in the late 1800s. And going all the way back as early as the mid-1800s. And before that, you have on these, as far as the Mexican community is concerned, you have the Spanish religious kinds of societies that are much older than even that. On the indigenous side of our identities, what you have is a long history of tribal governance and independence that involves tools for survival that work today.